The book of Acts, of which we've been listening to, reading, hopefully prayerfully reflecting on throughout the season of Easter, is a collection of some acts of some apostles, supposedly written by the evangelist Luke. If you notice, the theme is generally meant to lend itself to excitement, to novelty, to enthusiasm. It's meant to be an attraction, to come and join the way. Today's story is especially poignant and fitting in this description. Here we have two great evangelists, Paul and Silas, who found themselves in deep trouble in the depths of a Roman prison. And they're not just tied up, they're shackled. And notice what they're doing. They seem not to be anxious at all. They're praying out loud, and they're singing. It must have been very attractive because all the other prisoners were listening to them and probably were enjoying it. It was good entertainment. There's nothing else to do. Right in the midst of their praying and singing, this huge earthquake happens. And wouldn't you think that most human beings would say, wow, run for your lives? Because for most of them, they're probably going to be put to death. Instead, Paul, because he has been touched by the Spirit of the risen Savior, does the opposite. He calls out to the soldier, do no harm to yourself. We are all here. Why would he say that? He knew life at that time. He knew this man would put himself to death because his superiors would kill him for having lost all the prisoners. So he was going to save them trouble. Paul knew that this man put himself to death, it would not just be his life, his family, his friends would suffer. He also be bringing any money. And so in his kindness, he reaches out to this man who was a part of the whole persecution, Paul and Silas and the other prisoners. He does not mention a single word about doctrine. It's his kindness, his compassion that moves this man. As he kneels before them, his prisoners saying, what must I do to be saved? Paul tells them very directly. Notice what this man does. He then cares for them, brings them to his own home, washes his wounds, gives them food. Is this not truly the way that Jesus evangelized? Proclaim the good news? Not so much by teaching doctrine, this is right, this is wrong, but by being kindness, by being compassion. The Dalai Lama is famous for saying that kindness is my religion. Jesus said it in a different way. Jesus said, my religion is love. Love of God, love of others, love of self. Most wise teachers can summarize it. Can you summarize your religion? Can you summarize what you believe in? Because people are watching you all the time. Let me conclude the story about David and Kathy, who live in Washington, D.C. An amazing couple. You see, Kathy was brought up Catholic and she was used in a large family to lots of people around the table, but this is ridiculous. David and Kathy have one son. His name is Siri. And Siri goes to the local public school in Washington, D.C. Siri has a friend named James. Now, James belongs to a family where they don't always have enough food to eat. Every once in a while, Siri brings James home to spend the night and secretly to give him a couple of good meals before sending him back. Well, the word got out, and pretty soon, are you ready for this? David and Kathy had anywhere from 25 to 40 people at every evening meal. They slowly began to realize that God had given them a vocation of compassion and welcoming to anyone who needed to be fed, but not just food. You see, about halfway through the meal, they would start to ask a question. What's happening in your life? What's troubling you? What's something to celebrate? And the stories would begin to come out. Some of these people were homeless or had been homeless at one time or another. Some were very young, some were adults. But everyone wanted to be there because they knew they were being fed by something more than just food. David and Kathy admit, yes, it's rather overwhelming, but what do you say when God touches your heart, touches your life, and realizes that people are drawn to kindness, compassion? It's what liberates prisoners of all ages, shapes, and sizes. Isn't that what we all want? To be set free, to know we are loved, to be received, to find a home where all is forgiven, all is received, all is blessed and sent forth, strengthened for the journey.